You know I'm a huge fan of your brand. I wear it all the time.
Oh.
I think it's so chic and also hits a market that really needs elevated classic handbags. And I'd love to hear the origin story of Freja.
Sure. So I like to say I was in grad school. I was interviewing for a very important interview. So I thought it was going to be like my last shot to get a job and to stay in the country. So I was prepping all night, and then at 1 a.m. I was looking through all my bags to find one that I could bring to this interview. And I couldn't find one that was like low key and still looked nice and had room for my laptop and change of clothes because I always have to go down to New York City for the interview. So I ended up picking one up from a convenience store, like a $20 plasticky tote. I walk in there with my new heels that I can't walk in. They let me go. So I was supposed to be there for the whole day. They let me go after 3 people talked to me.
Oh, wow.
No one told me anything. I was just in the room by myself and they're like, you can go now. So I left. I went to
a brutal experience.
Brutal.
Experience.
But they didn't even tell me. So I hobbled down, changed into my shoes, went to Bryant Park and decided, you know what? I don't think I'm going to get the job. However, I do blame it on the bag. And I'm sure there are more people out there who have this same experience. So what if I started a bag brand?
Blame it on the bag.
Always.
Yeah. You're like, it just wasn't right.
As long as it's not a Freja bag. Blame it on the bag.
That is crazy. So you had no prior design experience. What were you interviewing for?
No design experience. So there is more backstory to that.
Okay.
But I was interviewing, I don't even know. I think it was some kind of analyst position at a hedge fund.
Okay. So you were in
Not for me.
Nowhere near fashion.
No.
How old were you at the time?
I was, I think, 22
Okay.
at the time.
I feel like I often get asked the question of like, hey, I'm in my mid-20s. I didn't go to school for fashion. I have no background in it. How do I start? And I'm curious for you as someone who had no design experience to now designing what I would like to say like very high-end designed bags.
So sweet.
Well, they have great...
It took a long time to get here.
There's a specific shape to them and there's a specific style to them. So where did you start?
Yeah, so the one thing I kept telling myself was no one's born a designer. And
I believe
if
that.
I were to do this for a couple years, why couldn't I maybe become a designer? I'm still not sure if I would consider myself like a designer, but I think we're getting better. And so our first year, my philosophy wasn't like, oh, I need to make it super beautiful. I was like, I want to make it really functional. So that was kind of the angle that I took. I was like, okay, I know I want long straps. I know I want the pockets in this way. I need it to fit a laptop. I need it to be soft but structured. So I kind of designed it from the inside out. So it's like, let me put all of these elements into a bag and then just kind of make a bag around it.
I love that.
So that's kind of what we did the first year. And it took it a whole year
Wow.
to get the first design off the ground because I was just didn't know what I was doing.
The long straps are a very specific choice. And I think that they obviously like ooze that functionality, but tell me a little bit about how that came to be because the staple of your bags is the long strap.
I think so.
Yes.
I think you'll see that among, like you'll see a common thread through some of our bags now just because we've kind of found our stride. But for me, I know something that's really annoying is when a bag doesn't fit over a coat. And like we were discussing, it's very cold here. You can't be coatless. And I don't want to pick between a bag and a coat. And I don't like to carry handheld bags.
It's very distracting.
Yes, and you're missing a hand.
Yes, this whole weekend I was carrying like a big pouch clutch that I love.
Yeah. They're so chic.
But yeah, I was like at a party on Friday night holding your bag. And it's like 2 a.m. and I'm like, why am I still holding this thing?
And you need 2 hands to open it because one hand is holding it.
Yeah, but like then I have like a drink in another hand.
Exactly, so you can't.
It's
hi, can you hold my drink? I need to get into my bag.
Yeah, it's really an antiquated thing. It's really just for me, like the clutch bag like that is a bag for LA people.
They have their moments.
They're
put
good
in their
for the car. You pop in and out, but besides that, it is the least functional thing on planet Earth.
I actually do you remember when Bottega pouches were so big?
Of course.
It was when I was in college. I got one. And I'm like, Jenny, are you going to wear this to class? Like, where are you wearing this to?
What size did you get?
The big one.
Oh, wow.
I had
wear it to?
I had to return it. So I'm like, this is a when I have a car or a driver kind of bag. And I don't have either.
Yeah. Okay, so the long straps, not wanting to sacrifice coat versus a bag.
I think it's just easy. I like a soft strap so you can kind of tuck it in. I don't like straps that are super stiff. Because then if you're trying to store it, you need to make room for the handles. And I feel like I like it when they can lay down.
I love hearing all these kind of functional moments of your bags that just make sense. And when I was learning more about you and the brand, I think my favorite part of your website is the blog section where, and I went like all the way to the beginning. You were showing the various steps of you starting to put together your original tote bag. Talk to me through your test process. Like, how many bags did you test? What was that experience like to kind of get to the perfect thing?
It was, I want to say, almost 20 samples over the course of a year.
Okay, wow.
The first sample I designed, we had made in Brooklyn. It was terrible. There's a picture of it on the website.
I saw it.
I was distraught. I was heading back to China anyway, so I found a sourcing agent and I asked her, like, hey, these are the parameters I'm looking for a factory. Could you help me find a factory that would make 100 bags for me? So that summer I went back and we visited 5 or so factories. I took my dad with me.
Fun.
Our first little business trip. And then we had 3 of them kind of March Madness style make the bags for me. And I just kept going down until I found the factory that I liked the most. And they're still the ones that we're working with today.
Were you out like in the market, like testing other things that were there?
I did do market research.
Okay.
So I went to expensive stores and looked
tried
at
that
bags
out.
I couldn't afford. Yeah. So I think that helped me hone down like what I really wanted.
Yeah.
And I think for that was a structured base, some kind of closure. I'm not a huge zipper person.
Yeah.
So we decided on a magnet, had to fit a laptop, long straps, obviously. And I like having a key leash. So we added a key leash inside the bag.
I do too. That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I would say in the top 3 most asked questions I get on my Instagram, it's what is the perfect work tote? And no one can seem to, at this point, I feel like there's no way to identify like where all the bag brands are getting it wrong. Obviously, your tote is perfect and is the one I always recommend. But at the time, like, where were they getting it wrong for you? It's funny, even my agent moved here at the end of last year, and she came to me and was like, I need a tote. And I was like, okay, well, give me like what are your guidelines? Like, what do you want in a tote? And she was like, I don't want a zipper, and I don't want it to be wide. I want it to be
Like more slim.
slender so that it could fit under my arm when I'm on the subway because I don't want a zipper. But it's interesting how everyone kind of has their own specifications for a tote. So where do you think during that time it just like wasn't working for the industry?
I agree. And I agree. Everyone does need something around. We even have a tote guide. I'm like, the Linea might not be for you. The Paloma would be for you if you are like this kind of person.
That's fun.
So we have kind of a choose your own adventure for our totes. But for me, I think what I was looking for was something really understated and timeless, like very classic. I didn't want any logos. I didn't want too much hardware because it's kind of hard to match hardware. And even to today, like we're not a big on hardware. I wanted, same as your friend, I wanted something really slim, but still roomy. And I think that really depends on how the shape of the bag is made. Like some of our biggest bags actually don't hold the most just because of the design. And I think that's something you don't know until you test it. So one thing that we do is I do test every single design that we make for at least a month, post every sample.
Okay.
So I'm using it every day.
Taking it out in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think you discover so many issues when you do that.
Is there one that's coming to mind where you're just like, oh, I thought it would be this, but it actually wasn't?
Not so much I can't remember for the Linea, but I remember our newest bag, like the magnet would kind of pop open at a certain length on the shoulder strap. So we made the cover on top of the magnet a lot thinner. So it would be stronger.
Like the material like the lining almost.
Yeah, because I don't like magnets showing either. So we always like put a leather layer over it.
I mean, I think of my bag collection now and how many times I reach for a bag, but the hardware doesn't work with what I'm wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And in a dream world, recently I've been like, oh, I love this bag, but I just want to take that big silver buckle off of it. And I think that's like a huge thing with your brand is like the hardware is kind of insignificant. I can wear it with anything. What was the choice of being like, okay, we're doing 0 hardware here?
Okay, well, Liv, I'm not a designer. Hardware is like one more thing I need to design. And also in the beginning, there's minimum quantities for everything.
Yeah.
And we don't have money to make a mold for new hardware.
Yes.
Especially if I wasn't sold on it. So right now we have custom zippers and everything, but we're still not huge on hardware. And also I want to work with every outfit. I want it to be like a no-brainer, effortless. I know this is the bag. It's going to be comfortable. I don't need to fuss with it. It's going to fit a lot of stuff. I know exactly where my keys are. I don't need to worry about the hardware. And the material is resilient. You can take it out in the cold. You can take it out in the rain. It can take a beating. I think that's those are the important qualities for actually reaching for a bag. Like I have so many bags that are gorgeous. I'm so in love with them, but I never reach for them. And I think that's the difference.
It's so interesting to hear you talk about all of this because at the end of the day, like I feel like I'm surrounded or hear stories frequently of, people who love fashion and want to be designers and want to build like a full collection with, a storyboard and a whole thing. But for you, you came from a totally different background and you wanted something that was just like functional and you could use every day. And a lot of your pain points are just things that like you either didn't know how to do or like couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it ended up being a product that like really worked for everyone.
It's working for some people, and I'm really grateful for that. Yeah.
It's definitely working.
It's
I mean,
working.
even your Forbes article said that you guys had, close to 5 million in revenue to year 2023. I can imagine it's only grown since then because I see it literally everywhere.
Thank you.
At the end of last year, I remember seeing a TikTok that was like, this is the it bag. It was a video of the larger Christie, I think, that I was wearing, the one that's in, I have it in like the camel brown. But it was like, this is the it bag that everyone's been wearing. It is going to be the it bag of 2025.
No way. No, I feel like the Christie
Yeah, it was
put us on the map-ish.
Do you feel like it's like the it bag?
I think our newest bag is going to be the it bag. But I think right now the mini Christie is like one of our best sellers for sure.
Is this new bag not out yet?
It's coming out this week.
Oh. Sneak preview.
So this is our newest bag. It's called the Hudson.
I'm obsessed with it. Help.
I love her.
Yeah. So that is like the perfect everyday.
Because we do so much east-west.
Right.
I want to do something a little bit.
More north-south, literally.
I don't even know what to call this, but like.
No, it is.
Round. Yeah, more north-south. Yeah.
I also really I'm loving bags right now that feel like an envelope close almost.
Ooh.
And that to me feels kind of like
Similar.
the envelope closure.
It's just easy.
It's easy, and I think the roundness adds a chicness to any outfit versus kind of the
You're so
hardware,
right.
hard edges. I'm really loving, like, that kind of reminds me of the Totem T-lock shape, and that bag to me I absolutely love, and I think there's a reason why it's like a bestseller. It's the shape that I think everybody really loves.
It's like a universal,
yes,
kind of soft.
I think that
It's
envelope
kind of like a little
shape,
dumpling.
that's
Almost.
so cute. I think the it bag of 2025 is an envelope fold just like that.
Really?
It's your new bag.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're launching right in time.
That's so exciting. Any other colors? Any other stitching? Tell me more.
So many colors. Oat espresso black at first.
Okay, great.
Exotics, which we will have our first foray into around May.
Okay, what is that like jumping into a whole new category as a brand that's like kind of worked with your consistent colors since you've launched?
Yeah. So my philosophy, at least for design in the beginning, we don't do collections. I release a bag when I think there's a need for it or when our community wants something. So we've never had like anything really, really consistent. But this year, I think, Liv, I decided last year that I was going to take this as my career. Like this was going to be my career.
Just last year?
Last year. I wasn't sure before.
What was the shift? Like what was the moment for you where you were just like, yeah, this could be it. This is it. I'm diving in like head first.
I thought I saw some potential.
Yeah.
Like long-term potential. And people were telling me that. So I'm like, okay, what if I invested my whole whatever foreseeable future into this? And that's why I also hired PR. Like I was like, okay, let me become the face of the brand. Because even before then, there was not a single picture of me on the website, not a single mention. Because I wasn't sure if this was something I wanted to do long-term. But now it is. So now I'm like, okay, I think we can start playing around with designs and colors and making it a real brand. Like you said, I'm so much in the functional. Like the design is not my favorite part. I like the operations. I like the business side. So I think that comes to me naturally, but the actual design and the product and the branding, I need a lot of help for that. So I also bring on amazing people to help me out with the product development and the branding and just making it all really, really cohesive and thinking really strategically about where we want to take the brand and what it's going to look like in the next couple of years. And I think having people got me really excited. And it's infused like a new air into the brand. Whereas the first couple of years, it was just me in myself and I in my own head, which is not the most fun.
Yeah, not a scary place to be.
Yeah,
I think
scary.
I think with any business, but especially in a fashion business where there's just so many different points you have to hit, outsourcing the things you're bad at is crucial.
Yeah.
Like, okay, design might not be your thing, but you know how to run a good accessories business. And there's a world for you to do that and thrive and succeed. I'm pro outsource all the things.
Me too.
All the time.
Delegate. There's
Yeah.
so many people who are better at the thing that I need to get done.
Yep.
I'm going to find them.
And I think also, like, I remember when I was living here, it was kind of the era of girl boss. It was the Glossiers and the Aways, etc. And I think during that time, a lot of people thought they kind of needed to do things on their own, start things on their own. But it sounds like with you, like finding those right partners made you see the full vision of your brand. Whereas sometimes when you're, at least in my opinion, there have been ideas that I've thought about or friends that I've seen bring ideas to life. And kind of sitting on the bench alone, trying to figure out all the things is a very scary prospect. So anytime someone comes to me and is like, hey, I have this idea. Do you think I should do it? I'm like, yeah, of course. Step one needs to be like build your team of people that are going to make you feel supported and like you can execute on your vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. After I had proof of concept, my next step was let me build out a team. And it's made everything so much more fun.
Talk to me a little bit about this idea of proof of concept because, again, we talked about like revenue kind of earlier. Is there one thing that you think was the biggest indicator or most helpful in growth for your brand last year? Like, I wonder, especially for fashion brands right now, like what's moving the needle for a fashion brand?
Honestly, every year it's different. I feel like I'm running a different business. Now it's like every couple months. Like the problems that we have, the people that we're hiring, like everything is so different. But I think for me, proof of concept means, does this thing have legs? So for my first year, I'm like, I don't need to worry about branding. I don't need to make it super polished. I just want to know, is this a product that people actually want? Like, can I sell these bags? And I think that's just been my philosophy ever since. Our first year, we only made 300 pieces. It took us a year.
It took you a year to sell them or make them?
Both.
There you go.
It took us a year to sell them. Our launch strategy, if you can call it that, was me running Facebook ads to collect emails. We collected 2,000 emails, sent out the email, not a single order. Not a single order. That was Feb in 2020. And then the world shut down. Yeah. And then I was trying to sell a work bag. So I'm like, how do I market this work bag to people who aren't going to work?
Yeah.
But that was the whole first year. And then after that, every year I would try to launch like 1 or 2 new products. And then I would just see, can I sell out these products? If I can sell out, we'll keep going. But that's just been the philosophy ever since. Like, I'm not going to make product that if I don't know for sure that it's going to move.
I think that's true.
And I don't have money to, like, we didn't have capital to invest in inventory.
No, I mean, look, I think being able to kind of temper it out and not go full force is a blessing. To be able to say, okay, you know what, I have a job, I want to try this out. Let's see if a few move is a great way to see if you even have an audience and if people even like your product versus like investing a bunch of money and potentially failing and having to start all over.
Scary. Yeah, and I think I think I'm blessed to not have the whole fashion design brain.
Yeah, you're
because I think
different.
Exactly.
Like you're in this different category that is so fascinating to me. Like you don't have to operate within the rules of quote unquote fashion, but you've also somehow attracted every single person in the fashion industry.
I think that is the work of our social team. We started as a work bag brand, and I think, you know, we ran a lot of ads to sell those. So I have a kind of a background in ads. We can get into that later. But it's easier to sell a work bag through ads because you're giving people a reason, because there's like a functional purpose to it.
Makes sense.
And you can make an ad around that. And then after I hired my first social girl, Mia. Hi, Mia.
Hi, Mia.
Yeah, she's the best. We also launched some more smaller products. And I think the influencers and the content creators, they really gravitated towards our smaller bags. So right now, even now, like our strategy is social media and content to move the smaller bags, and then the bigger bags we still run all of ads.
I mean, social media is positioning completely.
Branding
like
too.
You can have a $250, $350 bag, but your content can market you as a luxury brand. You can completely change the narrative of your brand via social.
That's something I'm learning now. Yeah, thank you. And I think it's still niche enough where you don't see it everywhere.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I have something special.
And even if you do, it's not a trendy bag. So it doesn't matter that I've seen it on Hailey Bieber and I've seen it on a million other celebrities. Like, it's styled so differently in my wardrobe because it's not trendy.
And I feel like it's not marked by a time period, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially our bigger totes. You're like, oh, that's not, you don't look at it and you're like, oh, that's from 2000.
Right. It can kind of be from any time. Yeah.
It's the goal.
I was just on vacation over the holidays, and a friend of mine who's in branding, the two of us were having a really interesting conversation about the future of handbags and how we're kind of in a weird spot right now. I feel like I do an AMA on my Instagram every week. So I see a lot of market research on what people are shopping and what they're looking for.
Mhm.
And I notice with bags specifically, people are either asking me for a luxury $3,000 bag recommendation, or they're asking me for a bag under $250. And it makes me wonder about the future of kind of that mid-tier bag. Maybe 5 years ago, if you asked me, I'd say, oh, Monsieur Gabrielle. I would say you fall into the category of people looking for like the $250 to $350 bags.
Mhm.
But I couldn't tell you right now if you were like, oh, I'm looking for like a black bag that's like $650 or $700. I couldn't tell you one. And so I've been thinking a lot about the future of those mid-tier bags, and I wonder if they're going to exist in a decade, especially post like Walmart duping the Birkin. It's like, are people just going to either go for, you know, something inexpensive and classic, or maybe something inexpensive and a dupe of something that's more expensive that they can't get but want?
Mhm.
Or are they just going to go luxury? What do you think?
I feel like, I mean, for me personally, if there's something I really, really want, nothing is going to
Stop you.
right. Like nothing, like no dupe is going to satisfy that craving.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm going to go for it. I'm
Right.
going to go big. But then otherwise, if I'm not going to go big, I'm not going to go like halfway.
Right.
So I think it makes sense. I think some feedback I've gotten is like they like the price point because if they like a bag, they can grab a couple of them. And it's
Exactly.
not crazy.
Right. And it's a perfect, simple silhouette that like I would be like that bag, for example. I should have that in every color in my closet. Why would I not have that in every color in my closet? It's a bag that's going to last me for a decade plus and will look good with literally everything.
Hey guys, Liv said it here first.
You heard it here first. But it's true. It's like at this point, why would I invest in a bag that's, you know, $750, $800 and not just maybe save up for something a bit more designer
Like the
focused,
dream-
like the
the
dream
dream
bag? It's interesting. I really don't know if in the next decade we're going to see that mid-tier.
I think they've been disappearing too. Like the mid-tiers they're like pushing past the four.
I feel like back in the day I could say like, oh, the Proenza bags were somewhere in that price range, but not
Mhm.
anymore.
Mhm.
Everything's either gone one way or the other.
Everything's expensive now though.
Everything's
so.
expensive. It's wild. When shifting gears a little bit to styling Freya bags,
Mhm.
you and I are similar size and height. And something that I talk a lot about is that your height should define what size bag you're carrying.
Ah, I've never heard that, but I like that.
I think about it a lot. I have friends who will carry like really oversized bags, but if I carry them, they completely overwhelm me, take
Yeah.
up my whole body. So since you've never heard that, maybe it's not the question for you. We're going to ask a few style bags and look at like your height as part of it.
Ooh, I don't think about that too much because I make my bags and I
Right.
make them to me, to my size.
You're like, it's my own thing.
But we do have, I think one of the best performing posts we've ever did on Instagram was a height comparison of our different bags on different
Oh.
heights models.
See?
Especially because work bags, it makes a difference.
It
Like you
makes
don't want to
huge
be
difference.
overwhelmed by your bag.
Huge difference. Sometimes there are totes that are just too big on my frame
Mhm.
and I can't be wearing them. Whereas like, you know, I could use the example of like a bucket bag.
Mhm.
Like a middle-sized bucket bag would kind of fit my body frame. Whereas if I was 5'9", 5'10", like I could use the actual big size. But I don't like feeling like the bag is my entire
the bag is wearing
size
you.
of my torso.
Yeah, no,
I hate that
I
feeling.
I agree.
I always pay attention to that. I think you
I'm
should.
going to start paying attention to that.
Well, you make the bags, so you're making them like to your fit. But for people listening who are like, how do I find my perfect bag? I think that that's a good
A lot of it is about the proportions of the bag too. Like sometimes
course.
it'll be the perfect size, but it'll be so thick and your arm is just, it's like you're carrying a football.
I hate that.
I don't like that either.
I hate that feeling. It's the same thing with the pouch. It's like
Mhm.
if it infringes on my function for the day, I have a hard time. It's usually not something I'll reach for in my closet.
Yeah. See, that's the whole reach for, because
Yeah.
I think reaching for it's not just the aesthetics. Like, am I actually going to want to be carrying this?
I feel like last year we saw the rise of what I like to call is the dachshund bag.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So
long,
cute.
skinny bags. And I feel like obviously from the Alaya bag that came out,
Mhm.
people were loving it. But I had not seen a bag like that before, and now I see them everywhere.
It's funny. So I would say we launched our Caroline bag a couple years ago, and then everyone last year was like, "Oh, how did you know to hop on the East West trend?" I was like, "I don't know. We just got caught up in it. We were lucky.
Yep.
We were lucky. Hopefully, the East West bags stick around for a while.
I think so. I mean, East West,
They're so classic.
well, I also think East West is like penetrating a lot of different things. Like
Mhm.
I have never seen more East West engagement rings in the past 3 months than I have in the past 3 months. Like I've seen so many East-West engagement rings
Oh.
where the diamond is
that's turned.
switched. Yeah. 3 of my friends got engaged at the end of last year and had East-West engagement rings.
Wow.
Zendaya's engagement
That's
ring
what I was
is
going
an
to
East-West
say.
ring.
Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we're just
in an East-West era.
directionally challenged.
I love that.
Trying something new. But
I'm
I
going
like
to put
it.
on
I
the
like
pod
to see it.
description. Your favorite directionally challenged bag.
Yep. My new favorite directionally challenged bag. It's so funny. Okay, so what are you focusing on for 2025, new year? What are you hoping to invest in more of as a fashion brand?
Yeah, so now that we're an official fashion brand,
You're like, as of 1 year ago.
as of 1 year ago, I really want to expand our collection. So I do want to focus on bags, but I want to do some more colorways. We'll do exotics. I want to do men's.
Cool. Oh my God.
I want to do men's.
I could not co-sign that more.
Okay. Men, they need.
But also
That's not a backpack.
oh, girl, you just opened a can of worms for me and Lydia, who's sitting in the corner over there. And my husband and her boyfriend wear backpacks to the office, and it makes me want it to die.
For long.
So it's interesting. My birthday just happened. I went to Loro Piana because I wanted to get a pair of shoes for my birthday. And there's a new bag from the brand that they just released. It's called the Loom bag.
Okay.
And I've been wearing the small version of it. They made a large duffel version of it for men. And it's kind of like that classic medicine bag where like it magnetizes at the top and you can open it and then there's a zipper.
Okay.
And the way that both my husband and I swooned over this bag. And I've been thinking about it since I saw it.
Okay.
They also have Loro Piana.
I'm going right after this.
You
to go
absolutely
see it.
should.
Okay.
You absolutely should. But beyond that, to me, Loro Piana has also like quietly been doing great men's bags for a long time. I just think it's a very specific audience. But I do think there needs to be like a revolution of menswear bags where any guy can wear this to the office and feel like they are themselves and not wearing something that's too fashionable. Because there have been so many times where I've been to my husband like, hey, can I get you a nice briefcase? And he's like, what am I going to wear? Like a Louis Vuitton briefcase? And it's so not him. So yes, do it.
Especially
please.
if he's wearing a backpack. Like his friends are going to give him crap for it.
So like, are you thinking like chic backpacks? What are you thinking?
I don't really want to do a backpack.
Please don't do a backpack.
I don't think it's hard to make it chic.
This is like, you can tell I'm very passionate about this.
I don't like backpacks.
Don't do it. Like I want to see what a modern version of a men's briefcase could look like.
Because we don't make backpacks for women.
Right. So why would you make them for men?
Exactly.
I want to see what a modern men's briefcase looks like that doesn't remind them of their dad going to the office in the 80s and 90s. Like, give me something updated.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
They'll have it by October.
Okay, I can't wait.
But before that, we'll do some suede.
Perfect for October because when I started to realize this, and I was like, really, there's not that much out there, and they're also very expensive. Like
it's a big investment.
Not even that. I was looking at like Metier, for example. I think they have one for men's, but it's like $2,000. Yeah. And I was looking at this holiday last season because it's a great gift for maybe a partner or like a guy friend in your life. So yeah, girl, I'm counting down the days till October on that one.
Freja Men's.
Freja Men's is a great idea.
Duffel for gym or travel, a briefcase for work, an everyday hands-free bag for like when they're just bopping around. I don't know what men do. And then maybe some smaller accessories.
My favorite bag from Loro Piana is the L19, which is the tiny one that has the handle. And then there's a strap. And they make it for men's. And I think it's like a great silhouette for hands-free, sleek, kind of unisex. And I'm sure you'll make something equally as epic.
I have so much research. There's like my to-do list. Like Loro Piana this bag, Loro Piana that bag, Metier this bag. Let's go do some market research.
They're my favorite for accessories, like high-end accessories.
I love Metier. I feel like it's so under the radar. I went to their store in London a couple years ago.
Oh,
but the designer, she used to design for, I want to say Audi, like a car.
Oh, wow.
A car.
Function.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Pockets. Space in the car.
You can tell.
Yeah.
And you can really tell.
You need all those things.
Mm-hmm.
To close out, if there's someone listening right now who wants to start a brand and maybe has no experience, what's your piece of advice?
To start, honestly, you're going to learn everything you need to along the way. And I think a lot of people, what they do is, so I'm naively optimistic. I don't think 3 steps ahead. I'm just like, that's the next step I need to do. So just 1 step at a time. And I think you get so overwhelmed if you think way too far ahead. And remember, like the you that'll be tackling that problem down the line is not the you that's sitting in this chair right now. So you today, you might not have the experience or the know-how to do that, but the you down the line, at step 2 will know exactly what to do and just trust If I can do it, you can.
That is such a great point of like the you 5 steps from now
Yeah.
might have like a smaller chance of actually knowing how to do that because you've gotten through the 5 steps.
Yeah. It's
That's a very great kind of mental activity or exercise to think of if you're ever overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I think I heard this on a podcast, but the way he described it was you're holding a flashlight and you can only see the next step forward. But once you take that step, you'll illuminate the next step forward.
Yes, 100%.
So just one step at a time and just go for it.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a
Thanks for
really
having
fun
me.
chat.
This is so fun.
I'm such a big fan and can't wait to see all the things that you build.
I can't wait to send you guys bags for your husbands.
I'll be waiting, babe. I'll be waiting.
I can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.